Witam wszystkich, którzy dołączyli do naszego streamu. Dzisiaj pierwszy raz będziemy realizować coś, co nazywamy studiem festiwalowym. Będziemy chcieli Wam przedstawiać ludzi, wydarzenia oraz atrakcje, które będą się pojawiały na Kontraście 2022. Dzisiaj zaprosiliśmy Francesco Farabiego i Riccardo Agostini z firmy Kimera Models, którzy będą odpowiadać na różne pytania przygotowane przez Krzysztofa i przeze mnie. Krzysztof?
We wanted to welcome you to our festival studio, just to start a cycle of materials about the whole guests that we will have on the competition, and we wanted to introduce you, Francesco and Riccardo from Kimera. Hi guys.
Hello.
Nice to have you here.
Hi.
Somehow.
Yeah. Guys, first question is how you start with this hobby? What is your the beginning or the history? Why you painting the minis?
You have 3 or 4 hours?
Yeah, we need maybe a shorter, compressed version, but with a lot of emotions,
Okay. Okay, I start with because I am the older one. So I beginning as kids because for the first time, the first contact was with my mom during a trip. I entered in a store that there are figure like from Ralparta or Grenadier miniature. I don't know if you remember this old kind of figure. And it was like my first love. Second love was with buying the boxes of HeroQuest. So
yeah.
in some case, Citadel. We are all son of Citadel, no? So
yeah.
that was the beginning. But the very beginning of the hobby for me, the first very contact was because close to my school when I was young, when I was teenager, close to the school there was a little store with 2 guys that painted figure. So that I start to love these things. Also because basically I wanted to become an illustrator, but I was not good enough, and I discovered that I was better in painting figures. So I just try to move from one side of the art to another. And this was my first contact. I painted for some years during teenaging time. Then I stopped because, when you are a teenager, you start to think about other things. But I come back in 2003. So when I was...
Sorry for interrupting, because I'm looking at Riccardo. It's like...
It's the short version.
It's the short version, yeah. No.
In 2003, I come back to the hobby, because a combination of things like I start to buy White Dwarf that in Italy start to come in those years. I discover Golden Demon. I see for the first time Cool Mini or Not. So, the memory of something that I love when I was young comes again, and I was 23 at that moment, and it was the beginning. Then I discovered that there are some painters in my town, so you start to do these things like this, and it becomes a great passion. And from this moment, so 2003 to now, so basically 20 years later, it becomes my life. So this is the shorter version.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it's like a story we know, yeah. If you know people from the hobby, yeah, it's something that combines us together, yeah? Like as miniature painters, yeah. It's cool. And you, Riccardo?
Oh, mine is very different. So
Very?
yeah. I always loved playing games. I was even for a period of time a professional video game player. And I gamed a lot. I also loved the miniature games, but I was not a painter. I played war games and various miniature games, Warhammer, Blood Bowl, other stuff like War Machine from Brigadier Press. But I didn't paint. Wasn't for me. I discovered that I like to paint very late, very, very late, like around when I was 30 or something. I started painting my own armies because I thought, okay, why not? Then I was having a bad work situation at the time, so I painted a little bit more, and I said, okay, maybe I'll do some little commissions for people around my town and so on to gain something. I became better in 1 year, I guess. So at that point, I thought, okay, maybe I can do it more because I like it, and at the same time, I fell off with my old business partner, and we decided to split. And at that point, I started to paint more, but I didn't know anything about this world, like zero, literally zero. So at this point, I said, okay, let me look for some potential teachers around me, and I looked at the work of some people. Then I spoke with another person that was in this field for longer than me, and they said, well, why don't you contact this person because he's a very good teacher and he knows what he's doing. And I saw his work, and it was Francesco actually. And I said, yeah, okay, he seems good. And I contacted him. And this was happening like in 2016, around
Yeah.
6 years ago. I didn't know anything. I didn't know who he was, what he did in his life. Zero. I didn't know that there were even contests in the world. I didn't know anything. I was going by watching Ben Comet's video on YouTube for learning. Then I met him, and then I started to apply myself more and become better. But this is very recent history, actually. So yeah, this is it.
Yeah, but that's interesting because, like, I remember, like, we were talking about this, and you told me that you made a very fast progress, honestly, like under the eye of Francesco. But you were a lucky guy that you had someone like this, like, close by. Yeah,
Yeah,
not that you were so lucky. Yeah.
The funniest thing about this was a comment that Francesco made at one point while he was teaching me. He said, "Oh, I like teaching you because you don't have that deference that people usually have with me when I teach because with all the contests that I was in and my winnings." I was like, "Oh yeah, contest? What are you talking about?" No,
Like a
of course, I was treating him like a normal person.
Okej, ja tylko dodam dla widzów, którzy oglądają nasz materiał, mówię teraz o polskich widzach, że jeżeli macie jakieś pytania do chłopaków z Kimery, to wpisujcie je, my je po prostu przetłumaczymy. No, nie ma jakby teraz sposobu, żeby tę dyskusję tłumaczyć, więc mam nadzieję, że większość z was rozumie, o czym mówimy. Okay, guys, next questions, because we are going directly to Kimera. How Kimera was created as a company or as a group of people? How it was established?
Okay, I start because I was there when this happened. So Ricardo comes a little bit later. And basically, it's an easy story because Kimera is the fantasy part of Pegaso. So this is the most important things to know. Kimera is a part of Pegaso Models, and Pegaso Models is one of the most known, legendary miniature producers of the world. So it was very famous for historical. And in the historical, I think that Pegaso was one of the most important 2 or 3 brands in the story of models. At one point, Luca Marchetti, that is the art director and the big boss of Pegaso, decided that he wanted to start really invest on the fantasy side, and he say, okay, I have some experience on fantasy, but I have not enough. We need someone that knows about fantasy, that want to come and start working on a new part of the company. So no Pegaso Fantasy, but new things, new brand, new logo for something that is different. It's in the same group, but it's different. And they called me. I was in good contact with Pietro Balloni, that is the other come si dice socio?
Partner.
Partner, the other partner of the company, and I was in good relationship with him for a long time. And they called me because I was in the hobby. I was yet one of the organizers of Monte. So I have to say I was a person, known in the ambient. Okay, and then I was considered much more a fantasist than an historical. So they asked me if I want to join these things, to try to create these things with them. And it's very funny because sometimes, life has kinds of lucky strikes, no? Because these things happen exactly some weeks later. Then I discovered that I had to close my company because I had a company before to join Kimera, and miniature painting was for a long time my second work. Okay, first work was I am an anthropologist, and I had a company with a friend, with a partner, about museum things, etc., etc. It was very good, but the problem is that for a long time I paid the fees and the things of my company with my miniature. So I decided that maybe it was better to try to pay myself with miniature than the company. And exactly in the same period, then I decide that with also some sadness, because it's like a jump in the in a black hole. You don't know what's happened, no? And in the same period, they call me and say, "What do you think to try these things?" So maybe at the beginning not so big, something, but was not something little, was immediately something big. So because Luca, it's a person that has an incredible view for the future. He wants always to do things in the best way possible. So that was the beginning. The beginning was, Francesco, we need that you follow the fantasy part. That was how the story began. So we create the logo, we create the idea. I start to create some words and things with Luca Marchetti about how we will develop the various line of Kimera. And then some years later, after grows and grows and grows, arrived Riccardo, and Riccardo was the last person of this group. Okay, because
Not
we
the
have
last.
also, yeah, not not of this. So between me and you, and then we have also other person that comes. But
of the group of people here.
yeah,
Yeah. Of these two people, I am the last. Yes.
yes.
From these two people. Yeah.
What I have to say that it's very interesting. It's the relationship between me and Riccardo. It's very funny because we became quite immediately friends, but at the same time we are also teacher and student. So we are friends. We are teaching the students, and we became also colleagues. So we are a lot of things.
Yeah, but I think that's the best.
We are
best
also,
thing
we are
that
also
can happen. Yeah?
neighbors now.
we are also neighbors now. Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
this is very close.
but it was good because basically was me that I asked to Riccardo to join Kimera, because I think that he has the knowledge in marketing and a lot of other stuff to help Kimera to become better. And I say to him, you have to join, you have to try to join. He wanted to left his work, so also in this case it was another lucky strike, So
But
Okay.
it is like this. Yeah. Like very
Yeah.
often it is like this. Yeah. Just like you have like a
serendipity, no?
nice way of transitioning. Yeah.
It's a kind of serendipity. Things happen
Yeah.
because
Okay.
various.
So Kimera start with the miniatures. Right now you are doing miniatures, you are doing paints, you are doing video tutorials. How you develop this style? I mean, who is responsible for what in this team?
Okay. Okay. I am, for example, I am the responsible for the color, for example. Okay.
Okay.
But also the color things born because it was an idea that Pegasus has for a long time. And it started with me because at the same time, the actual producer of our colors, that is Camerini, it's a company that produced acrylic color in Italy for quite 100 years. So with a long story, okay? And the one of the two partners of this company is also a modeler, and he was a friend of Pietro Balloni. So he started to say to him, but what do you think if I try to make color for you? Because I am interesting to, and at the beginning you don't know what could happen. So you say, okay, let's try. They send us color. Pietro, it's an oil painter, so he just take the color, give it to me, and say, try it and see what's happened. And the color was not what we have now, because there are a lot of different things. I helped Alex for a long time to create the colors as I imagined, but the main important things of the color, so the pigments and the saturation, the power was fantastic. So I was really shocked about the quality of that pigments that he has. So I called Pietro and I say, okay, we have to work with him, because I think that we can do something really great. And imagine that we worked on the color for quite 1 year and a half before to release them. Try and try and try and
was
try.
it the first set? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Much more than 1 year to arrive to the release, because I was super. I really wanted the perfection, so I tried a lot. I started to share the color with a lot of friends around the world. To say, tell me
Yeah.
what you think. I prepared 1,000 of questionnaire to the people to ask what you think, what can be better, and
Yeah, I
one
saw
of
in the box that there were a lot of people testing it. Yeah, so
one of the just to say,
took time.
because we are in Poland now in this moment, even if
Yeah.
in a virtual way. One of the first one was Michal Pisaski that received the colors. What was really one of the first one.
That's very cool.
Okay, but who is responsible for creating the line of miniatures?
This is longer.
We are basically we are a crew, we are a team, so we are all responsible. We are all responsible.
So, yeah.
The boss, it's Luca Marchetti. The last word is always from him. But apart from
Yeah.
that, we are a team.
Yeah, but
Consider this,
you have the lines. I mean, pelvis or domina. How you develop this?
Yeah, consider this. Most of the art direction is done by Luca Marchetti. Some of the models are input from us. Several of them. For example, the new Kickstarter that we will launch in a week started with an idea of mine, actually. Then other models were added by Francesco and a couple by Luca. So there are several people that are proposing ideas that gets accepted or not by the art director in the end. So it's not one person only, but the main one is Luca. He's the boss of the company in the end, and he's the one deciding what to do and what not. But the people inside the company, mainly me, Francesco, and Alberto and Africa, that are two sculptors, are influencing these decisions in the end. So it's a joint effort with the end decision power being from Luca.
Okay, but that is like some of you have ideas, like yeah, and you together work on just some figures. Like sometimes one or the other person has an idea and you develop it. Then yeah, that's how it works. Okay.
Yeah, we assemble the material, we do a first draft, then we present it to the boss, and the boss says, okay, yes, but we change this and that, or not, it's already good. And then we go to the drawing phase, and then we go to the sculpting phase, and then painting.
But you have your functions in the company, because like I always talked with like Francesco, and he tells that he's the art director, yeah,
Yes.
and like everyone has his place as always.
Yeah, we have main roles, and then a little bit of something else.
We have our rules, but we are also very fluid.
Very fluid.
Yes.
I think that's like a good thing. Yeah.
My role, for example, is being the marketing manager. So because I studied marketing, I did it for a lot before coming to Pegaso, and I became the head of the marketing in here. So my main role would be marketing and a little bit of project managing.
And social media manager.
I was. Now I'm doing it less, the social media managing. I'm mostly supervising. But yeah, this is my main role, actually. The boss role is mainly the art director. Francesco's role is mainly the paint and paintings director. Then we have Pietro Balloni,
And the graphic designer.
manager.
I am also.
Yeah, yes, the graphic designer, yes.
Okay. So, like, I think going to the next question, like going with that, like the flow of the philosophy of the products you make. Like, are there any distinguishable factors of like the figures that you make? Like, there's something that is like very in line with the just like the Kimera brand, something that you do like to do on your miniatures.
Well, okay, I'll go. Well, first of all, I think the main thing is that we have a strong focus. This thanks to the art director on anatomical correctness. Let's say, being there is a lot of work behind it, like how a human body works, how is the weight, where to put it, how to place the lines, the movement and things like that. There is a lot of study about this to avoid making mistakes. Well, some mistakes happens. This is for sure. This is a difficult job, but there is a lot of study about this. And this is the first thing. The second thing is we try to be elegant when we do stuff. So there is a lot of this. There are some other distinguishable traits that we try to put, and is trying to give a product that is well studied with a lot of work behind it. There is usually a lot of work for every miniature we do. And for example, just to make an example, when we print a model, we 3D print a model, and we receive back the model from the 3D printer, we check things that people may not even think they are there. For example, to make a stupid example, this is mostly done by Luca, for example, because he's very knowledgeable about this. But he checks things like, okay, the model has a belt. Is the belt pushing the flesh of the model, or is compenetrating it? Because we don't like that thing is compenetrating the model. We want that thing to be realistic. So if there is a belt, then the flesh of the model should be squeezed and go up on the sides, for example. And if this is not done by the sculptor in the end, because maybe you don't see it on the screen, when we have it in hand, we try to fix all these things. Or all the sockets, to make them match perfectly. And there is a lot of hand work at that point, because with the printing, maybe things are not aligning perfectly, and we work a lot to make this happen.
Imagine that a big part of the figure that you have in your house at the end, if you buy them, are retouched after the printing. After the 3D printing, they are retouched by hand. Not all, but a lot of them, to make them as perfect as possible.
No, so you put the extra time also after the
Yeah.
printing and then just cast it, yeah?
Yeah. It happens sometimes that after you 3D print a model, you have to work on it a couple of weeks, for example,
It happens.
to make everything like be as perfect as possible. I mean, some things can escape you, of course, but you know, this thing about the belts is a very real example. And
Yeah.
I know that not many people will notice, but in the end, when you see a model in front of you, your brain somewhat understands that there's something more to it than you know.
Yeah, that's always like a difficult thing. Like people just get the end product, and you see how much work it is. Yeah, so how much like effort and how many things you have to do. So that's like a piece of interesting information for you from you guys. Okay, like one thing, like can you categorize something like a general style of like Kimera miniatures, something that when like the design process is like something that you want to convey to the sculpture, something that interests you as like
There
designers.
there are different lines, and each line has a little bit of its own characterization. For example, the dominant line is specifically pin-up style models. So what you see in those models is usually elegant but a little bit erotic, and with
Malicious, we can say.
malicious eventually, something like that, with I don't know, absence of weight. We are not going for realism in there, and there is a lot of, for example, of surrealistic elements in them, especially in the latest ones.
Very, very baroque, and
Yes. On the other hand, the new line that we are launching right now is almost in the Kickstarter is almost the opposite. So we went there for a more simplified approach, a little bit less of course sexualized. There is the main character of that Kickstarter that has no, I don't know, the usual boob armor or
and no
yeah,
sexualization in general. So
yeah. So we are trying to separate the canons for each lines. So each line has a style on itself. And when you pick up a line, you know that you will get that type of tape from that line.
for
The
example, also
futuristic line. Yeah, go on.
stavi parlando di quello, vai, scusa. Sorry.
Yeah, for example, the futuristic line that we have, the Elysium line, has different lines, more streamlined, more sharp, and for example, the difference in height between the models is different than the other lines that we have. So each one is characterized in a different way.
Okay.
Since we produce a lot, we try to create a specific style for each one, so everyone can choose what they prefer in the end.
Okay, because we will come back to your products and what you will show here on Kontrast. Let's go to the Francesco demo on the Kontrast, because many people are expecting, a great knowledge, because some of them see the short video how you paint the body or the skin on one of your miniatures, and this is kind of classic. How to do it.
It becomes that. Really.
Yeah, sure.
You didn't know.
Yeah. So, Francisco, what do you plan? Because the title is very, very funny and energetic. I mean, the freehand, don't panic. And you're also very well known as a master of the freehand, because a lot of big miniatures which you are painting are covered with very sophisticated freehands. So, what we can expect?
Okay, first of all, I choose that one because I think that for a demo that it's not many times. What is the timing? I don't remember the
1.5 hour.
Yeah, 1.5 hour. I didn't remember if it was that or 2 hours. Anyway, it's very short. So the fact is that in 1.5 hours, it's very difficult to show something in a proper way, because our work, I am a quite quick painter, but in 1.5 hours, it's very difficult to show something super complex. Christoph, you know that. 1.5 hours is really difficult.
I'm not a good example here.
I say to you because it depends on your style, no? Because if you are, for example, painters that are very expressive and they work on an impressionist kind of painting, that is not easy, but it can be more quick. This don't means that it's easier to do. It's probably more difficult to do. But people that do this kind of painting normally can be more quick, but painters that are more like Chisto, for example, so very precise, everything is super smooth, etc. Takes time. Takes time. It's like that. So in 1 hour and a half, I am like a painter in the middle because I am at the same time I love expressive and texturing and brush strokes kind of painting, but I am still like coming from the Italian school that it's famous to be silky and smooth. So I am I fighting with my brother in assistant, with my fake brothers that say to me smooth, and I say to him no. It's a continuous fighting with myself to try to have a proper style. So to arrive to the demo, imagine what was the best idea to show something that works in this short time. And my way to do freehand, it's quite easy. I use that a lot of time in my classes, and every time people was amused by that because at the end it's an easy way to do that. But I will not spoil this now because it makes no sense. If not, I don't do the demo. But it's a quick way, and it's an affordable way. What I will try to demonstrate you is that you can do a good freehand even if you never drawing nothing, just applying some rules, some ideas, and with this trick that I will give it to you, you can arrive to a very good result even if you never paint, never draw in your life. Obviously, if you are a good drawer, you will become better much more quicker. But that's the point. Normally, it's something funny, and we will see. So,
Okay.
and an important thing is not a simplified version of what I do. Is exactly what I do when I make my full coverage of freehand figure. It's just different the time. So obviously the result of what I will do for you in 1 hour and a half will be not the same level of what I do when I paint a figure like that, because you take time to arrive to the perfection. But it's the same process, exactly the same.
Okay, Francisco, you are doing trainings for the people. Probably because of COVID, you had some time gap in this process. But maybe with someday we will invite you here to Warsaw to do a workshop with Polish painters. But what can you say to the people who start in this hobby or in the middle, let's say on the middle stage? What could you say to them? What is important in painting? I mean, in thinking about painting.
Okay, it's a different answer for the two kind of people, because for the one that begin, my suggestion is to just have fun. Because if you start to do something and you have to be, blocked by the idea that you have to do this in a good way, you have to fighting against someone else to try. No, first of all, it's an hobby and should be something pleasant to do. So the first things is just enjoy yourself, try to do it. Okay, that's the first part. The answer to the people that stay, in the standard level and they want to jump to another level, this is different, because in this case, it's obviously that painting a figure is something that amuses you, that should be an happy moment, etc., etc. But at the same time, it's a discipline, like learning to play an instrument. It's not so different. So at the end, you have to learn technique. Like with an instrument, you have to know how to make scales and chords and things. And the same thing is with the painting. You have to know, for example, before I talk a little bit about the idea to be smooth or not. But decide, for example, to don't be smooth. Don't means that you don't know how to be smooth, because much more you know how to be smooth, much more you know how to don't be. It's a question of learning techniques and body techniques. At the end, this is painting. It's you have to develop a series of movement. okay, that has to become natural for you. And this means training, means application, means study. But the good things is that study it's funny, it's good. It's not something boring. Study painting, because if you like it, but I imagine that if a person want to become better, he likes that. So you have also to love the growing moment where you make mistakes. Makes mistakes is a part of the game, you know. So my suggestion is you can find a lot of things around the net, you know, a lot of tutorial, video, and both written tutorial or video tutorial or Patreon or a lot of things. I sincerely don't think that nothing is better than a real master that stay with you. This is not because I have to do advertisement for people that makes my work. It's not for that, okay? But it's really because someone that stay with you, it helps you in a physical way to change your approach on things. And if it's a good master, helps you in your flow to makes this flow more profitable. It's exactly like an instrument. You can learn how to play guitar, for example, on a tutorial on internet, but it's much more easy if you have a master that teach you. Okay, so I think that this is it's something that people should know. You don't need to do that. Okay, there are a lot of painters that became incredible just painting and watching a video or just sharing information on forums. I learned painting like this at the end, using forums, studying, etc., etc. But the next generation painters, they have the opportunity to use our generation to become better than us, you know. So why
But
they have to make the same long street when they can be short, no?
yeah, like for me, it's like always interesting because I often talk with like people about this, yeah, and in the end, like we like started on a moment that there wasn't that much knowledge, so we had to like learn ourselves, and it was like just painting miniatures, so we couldn't find it. Now we have a lot of like knowledge lying around everywhere, but I fully agree, like the best way you can like learn very fast, and I think Ricardo is a very good example of it because he had like a teacher, yeah. And a person that would like sit with him and tell him like things that like, okay, you can like do stuff better, yeah, or like differently, or like approach this like like this. And even like simple things, if you do workshops, like people most of the time don't know how to dilute paint, yeah, even like the simple things, because they look at it on a video and but don't see it fully. Like you have to see it real life, yeah. So I agree, like fully, yeah.
There is also, if I may, there is also a problem. In my opinion, I would say a controversial thing now, so brace for it. There are a lot of people on the internet that they are pretending to teach you, doing videos and mini tutorials and tutorials on Facebook groups. That they are not professional, they are not even good most of the time, but they think they are. So a beginner will just pick up one of those, learn wrong, and then they have to unlearn everything they learned if they want to become better. And this is monstrously difficult. Very difficult. And I see a lot of people doing that because they see, oh my God, this guy has 400,000 followers on YouTube, is making good money, so maybe I can do that too. Yeah, you can, but you are doing a disservice to other people actually.
Yeah, I know this. Like that's why I don't like don't watch too many like videos on YouTube, like per se just about miniature painting. But I have my approach, so it's like completely different. But I get the point. Like in my opinion, like that's something that Francesco like told, maybe not in a direct way, but I think we could agree. You have to like at some point, like let's say like in the middle, like maybe you're quite like a, let's say, starting to be an advanced painter. You have to work on the basics. Yeah, you have to work like for just like to search shortcuts, like just to sketch and do like fast painting. You probably have to know how to like fully blend and how to place highlights, everything, and then you can simplify it. Yeah.
I can say, for example, the master of impressionist painting on miniature is Alfonso, Giraldes. But Alfonso, it's a painter that makes everything before than this. Before than this, he makes smooth things, classical things, historical things, everything. He arrives to this technique because of his story. So obviously, his story can help someone to arrive to something close quicker, but it's because he made this before. So the story is very important. I think that story and how our the things that people that makes things before the new, it's important to know because this helps you to become better. I don't know how to say in English, but we say that we always sitting on the shoulder of giants. No, I don't know if this it's okay also in English this sentence, but it's the same for us because. We was not connected with a generation of fantasy painter, but we was connected with a generation of historical painter, for example. Our giant was people like Luca Marchetti or Pietro Balloni or Danilo Cartacci. So when I was a young painter, what I was is to become as good in fantasy as Pietro Balloni is in historical. So this is what we wanted to try to achieve. Now it's completely different because now fantasy it became so powerful that probably in this moment I will say something controversial, me too, but it won't be. But I think it's quite clear that in this moment fantasy painting it's more fresh and powerful than historical one. So it's a moment where the young guys, we are not so young at the moment, but just to understand, not young in a age way, but young in a story of art. Okay, the fantasy is more powerful in this moment than historical because all the people that develop this technique then go on and go faster and everything grows. But I think that this can change in the future because can happen at one point, and I hope that this happen, that also in the historical war someone say, wow, now fantasists doing interesting things, we have to try to paint historical like they paint fantasy, and then the circle continue. But the same things, it's for example with I don't know painting tanks or painting Gundams or painting whatever. I think that our hobby, our art will become much more complex time after time and with much more contamination, and I think this will continue.
Yeah, it's like it's the same cake. We just like have different pieces of it. Yeah, so it's very intertwined. Yeah. Okay, so like my next question would be Francesco, like you judge a lot of competitions. Yeah, from what I know. Like you're very engaged into like different competitions, like especially Monte San Savino. And like for the new people being on a contest, like participating in it, from your perspective, what is the most important part? Like when judging, is it like perfect painting, like color concept, like contrast and stuff? Like, do you have any like hints of something that maybe like a good work should have?
Okay, I answer you. First of all, say that in this question, there is a word that for me makes no sense. That is perfect painting, because perfect painting for me means nothing. Because at the same time, for me, can be a perfect painting, something painting in your style or in the style of Sergio Calvo Rubio, just to say to approach completely different to the painting. So for me, makes no sense talking about perfect painting because, it's something, another controversial things, in particular some weeks after the Golden Demon in USA. So,
yeah,
but
we wanted to trigger you a little, yeah.
Yeah, but I am not triggered. The fact is that I think that there is a big problem with how people judging miniatures. Okay, I think that there are. Okay, I take a little bit of time to answer to this because it's not easy. Okay, so I try.
Okay.
I divide in a very theoretic way in three different block, various kind of judge people that judge. Okay, the first first block is the people that knows nothing about painting, nothing. They just love miniatures, so they see a miniature and they say it's good or not. They don't ask about it's smooth, it's not smooth, it's correct, it's not correct, the technique is dry brush, it's wet blending. They don't care. They see the figure, it's good. That's it. For a lot of reasons, because it's a figure that it's interesting for them, because it's a space marine, or because it's blue, or for a lot of reasons. But if you consider all these people together, normally when they say something, when all say that something is beautiful, or the majority of people say that it's beautiful, probably it's beautiful. Okay, this happened a lot of time. Okay, probably it's beautiful. This is very okay. Now there is another block of people, another part of people, that is the people that has the knowledge to judge. That is in the other side. Okay, so they knows how things are done, different style, different kind of painting, different kind of approach, and they judging in a way that then later I try to explain this group. But now just this, okay? The division between I don't understand nothing and I say this is just beautiful. I know everything makes no sense, but a lot of things. So I say to you that this is beautiful and why this is beautiful. The big problem is the people that stay in the middle. Because the people that stay in the middle, they have a part of knowledge, and they use this part of knowledge with the idea that this knowledge is everything, and it's enough to judge everything. And you know what is the much more easy things to judge for a figure is the blending. So the reason why a lot of people judging the figure just zooming in and see if there is a brushstrokes, it's because it's something very easy to judge. Okay, I see the brushstrokes, it's not okay. I don't see the brushstrokes, it's okay. It's easy to judge, but it's a judgment that makes no sense, because blending and smoothing is just one of the technique exactly, and will be probably controversial, but exactly like dry brush. It's just a technique. The sense of what you do, it's important. The story that you tell, it's important. And this is the point of what, for me, a good judge should be, is to judge the coherence of a figure. So if the way he made the figure, it's coherent with his vision, and the way he transmits this vision to me works. So a figure can works or not, and not because it's blended or not, or because it's super tiny detailing or not, or full or freehand or not. It's a question of coherence of the story, and this means light interpretation, color interpretation, concept of the composition of colors, where you put this and that, and also how someone manage his gesture in brushstrokes. Brushstrokes are the soul of the painter. If you hide brushstrokes, you hide your identity. You see, probably my favorite painter in this moment, the painter that gives me more emotion, it's Mark Masklans. Okay, he's probably the painter that gives to me much emotion in this moment. Every time I see his figure, that gives me the sensation I want to lick it. I want to eat them. Okay,
I can agree.
And this is
agree
because,
with Mark, yeah.
but the reason why Mark is so good is not incredible technique, incredible knowledge, and the color and the contrast, all the things. But the most important things is that what is beautiful is his brush gesture. He has a particular specific brush gesture that it's incredibly good to see. And this, for example, is not a smooth painting. Is a very bold painting, bold in terms of brushstrokes. No,
you couldn't call it like let's say it's not sketching. Yeah, it's very refined.
No, it's not sketching. It's super refined.
I always looking at his work. I also think he's one of the best painters. I just love his work, and that's, if you look at it, it's not something that we talked about it. Yeah, you couldn't do it just right from the start. He knows how to blend, he knows how everything, but it's just like he knows how to place that one like brush stroke that it works, even if it's not blended. Yeah, like because like it's his like thing. Yeah, he knows how to do it.
This is the most important thing is that brush strokes is good when it's good. So it's not a question that you just, okay, I left the brushstrokes. No, it should be a good brushstrokes. So, for example, when I paint my figure, if I make some brushstrokes and I want that this brushstrokes is visible, if it's not good, I have to erase it and do it again, exactly like a smoothing. But for example, you are in front of me, so I'm talking with you. Your painting, it's a painting that it's built by tiny brushstrokes. And it's one of the things that I like of your painting, because your painting is like it's like a kind of everything is like a super tiny fur. No, it's not a fur, but just to explain. No, I love this because this kind of texture. Okay, it's something that is very recognizable to me, and in real life, it's something that gives life to the figure. It's not just something. It's not plastic. The word it's not made in plastic. Okay, that's very important for me. It's the reason why I don't feel very touched by figures that are just super glossy and you don't see nothing.
That's why I hate airbrush, honestly, because it produces completely like a smooth, like soulless texture. Yeah, like a surface. Sorry. Yeah. So like I think you have to add something. Yeah.
But and this is the most important things when you judge. So I answer to the question at the end of this discussion. When you judge, you have to judge the coherence of the story of a figure. And if you think that the artist applied all the techniques that he has to make this as best as possible in his vision, that means that I love Mark. So for me, Mark, it's always a gold, for example. Not maybe always, but quite. But means also that probably I can give, and I did it in my life a lot of time. I can give a gold to a person that has a style that I don't like too much, because when you judge, you have not to judge what you like, but what you think it's made in a proper way.
That's something I wanted to ask you. But you answered it, yeah. Honestly, I think like it's very important to be like, you can call it like being objective, like just to look from different sides. Yeah, it's not that you have to look just from your side. Yeah, and like I'm glad that you do think this way. Yeah, and it's very important for us, even like on the contrast competition, like because like for many years, if you could look at the Polish like history of the like previous contests, most of the things were like very defined, like a very good, like very refined GW style. Yeah, like we have like a story in Poland like this. Yeah, like people are like going from this. That's why like even my work is like it's very refined. Yeah, I won't make like very bold brushstrokes because like I was maybe a little learned like this. Yeah, and we want to like open like the people that you can do stuff. Like it's as long as you are like coherent in it, as long as you like what you stated, as long as you do it in a mindful way, just like translate the story or brushstroke and like that it's like just art. Yeah. So that's important. Yeah.
But you see,
if I may add a thing actually that is aside from judging, but is for people in general. I think it's very important for people to understand that there is beauty in everything, and we need to look for it. It's not only one thing that is beautiful. There are many things that are beautiful, and we should strive to look for it. I mean, okay, I studied art at university, so maybe I'm biased in this, but as I can appreciate an impressionist and I don't know, a Jacques-Louis David that is extremely smooth and classical. I mean, everyone can try to understand why a thing is beautiful and how to appreciate it. It will open a lot of horizon. It's like food. It is exactly like food.
Yeah, exactly.
You can eat all your life steaks, and they are good. I love them. But you can also try fish and discover that you love it, or pizza, or whatever. I mean, I for example, love to travel and eat food everywhere, of every country. It's a passion of mine. And I think art is the same. It's just a matter of discovering new things for yourself and enjoying it. The more things you can enjoy in your life, the more happy you are because you have more things to be happy about.
But I want to say one thing to come back at the beginning of my explanation about the three different type of judging, and is that an anecdote. Okay, I tell you a story. One of the contests that I judged, because you say you judged a lot of contests, I can say that except Varsavia. I don't know how to say this in a proper way. Anyway,
Warsaw.
in Poland.
Warsaw. In English, it's Warsaw.
Warsaw,
Yeah.
okay. No, I want the real name.
Warszawa.
Varsavia.
Warszawa. Okay.
More,
Warszawa
more close to Italian way that it's Varsavia. So, anyway, and okay, I am joking, but I have to say that except in Poland, I quite judge it everywhere. So I think I judge it quite every kind of contest. And one of these, for example, was the crystal brush. I had this opportunity to judge the crystal brush, and crystal brush was a very strange kind of contest now, because you have 50% of judgment from the judges and 50% of judgment from the people, and it's very curious that I can tell you that in the story of crystal brush, normally the vote from the people and the vote from the judges is never so different. This is very interesting because the vote that coming from the people, they coming mostly not from the medium part of my division in three, but they comes much more from the people that knows nothing, and they just judging something because it's beautiful. That means that at the end of the result, for example, when I judge it, the difference was just in some categories between, the gold was silver or the bronze was silver and the gold was, but the three of each category was quite always the same, and the winner was always the same. In all the story of Crystal Brush, the overall winner was the same from the people and from the judges. And you know that even if people think that the judgment from the people have the same power than the judgment of the judges in Crystal Brush, is not like this. In real, the judgment of the judges is much more powerful because judges are three person, they have just three votes, and if they decide that a figure has 310 and all the others had 9, the other 50% of people has to make a vote very incredible to change it. Okay, you can make the mathematics things. I am not able to do that, but if you try to make a statistic of that, you understand that it's quite impossible. But even if this happened, at the end the result was always the same. That means that at the end, the people that judges with no idea of what they look, but just they look at something that they like, probably they judge it more close to the super technical judges than the medium part of the world that judging, because they learn that they have to, use airbrush, an example. So they judge just it, or because they know that they have to blend. So just this.
Yeah, this is the typical problem of thinking that you know something when it's not true. So you make uninformed decisions, but you think you are good at it.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, but
Come si
I
chiama,
wanted to ask
Riccardo,
you.
l'effetto Dunning-Kruger?
Dunning-Kruger, yeah.
Dunning-Kruger, yes. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect, no?
I wanted to ask you one thing, because maybe you do this also, but my wife just doesn't know how to paint miniatures. Yeah, so I very often, when I finish something, I show her, or even during the process, and she tells me I like it, or it's shit, yeah, or something like this. Yeah, it's a very ruthless opinion, yeah, but it shows you like an opinion from a person that just perceives it, if she likes it or not. Yeah, and it works the same, I think, but in a bigger scale, in the whole competition.
But,
yeah?
We do the same when judging sculpts in the end, because we are painters, we are not sculptors, and we think, okay, I like this, or I don't like this, but why? Why do you like it or not? And this is more difficult to assess, and you need to be very good at it to to make a real informed decision about a miniature, a sculpt. Because in the end, the buyers are not sculptors. So they just say, okay, I like this.
So wait, now the important thing is, so this means that Francesco said that the people can judge, no, because
Competitions, no.
it's not.
Yes,
because-
yes, Francesco
because
said
it-
that.
No, because
Right.
there is a big difference between one people that judge and a lot. So if you have to judge something, you need someone that has the knowledge to choose something that is beautiful in the same way than the people at the end decide that something is beautiful, but with the knowledge to do that. So that's the point.
Okay,
But this
guys.
happened even if you watch, for example, at the Olympiads, no? If you don't know nothing about I don't know, people that jump in the swimming pool, nothing, you know nothing, but it's quite immediately to see if someone do it in a good way, even if you don't know nothing. So, it looks perfect, and normally when it looks perfect to you that don't know nothing about technique, etc., the vote of the judges are normally very high.
Yeah.
This means that when
Right.
something is good, it's good.
Yeah, it looks like someone is jumping to water and like there's a big splash and then he goes outside with being completely red. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, guys, I want to go forward because we need to keep our time frame. So
Yeah, with me it's difficult. I
no,
understand. Sorry.
we will spend some more time here on the contrast. But Francesco, I'm thinking about Monte San Savino. Could you give our viewers some more, let's say, ideas about Monte? Because you define this not as a, let's say, normal contest, but rather meeting of the friends, of the people, and how you describe this event.
Okay. Now I have to find a way to tell something in a very short time. So I try in this way. Nothing lasts forever. I start like this. Okay. So what's happening in Monte? Okay, now for 2 years we have the pandemic, so obviously the work will stop. But what's happening in Monte? It's something special for a lot of reasons that are connected with the story of Monte. We don't have the time now to tell the story, even if it's a fantastic story. But don't care about that for the moment. But for its story, for what's happened there, for a lot of times, at the end, Monte becomes like the town of modeler for the time where the contest is held. Okay, and it's a place where it's like a place where everything about our hobby happen. People meet for the first time, people meet for the 10th time, people drink together from all the part of the world. There is a kind of magic in Monte, and this magic it's something that you have to try now, because I don't know if this will be the same in 10 years, because nothing lasts forever, as I said. And in particular, in our world, in the world of modeling, a lot of important contests change during the years. I will continue to do Monte until people comes and are happy to come. So for the next 50 years, if I can, okay? But I really suggest to all the people to try it now, because now is the moment to try it. It's difficult to explain if you never come at the end, because it's a place where you have at the same time the most tough contest in the world, because it's that, because everyone are there with the best that they made to have the prize, the awards that they supposed are the most important. And the reason why Monte San Savino medal is the most important is because people bring there all the best stuff. So when you compete with the best painter in the world with their best stuff, and you take a medal, that means something. Okay, means something. That's the reason why the importance of the medals of Monte San Savino increase so much. But at the same time, Monte is also a very inclusive contest with a big part of standard. I think that in Monte there is the biggest standard category than all over the world, except World Expo, that it's something different, obviously. And this is very important with a super high level, even in the standard. And in this side you have this, but in the other side you have this incredible meeting of people that for some reason they compete in the most important contest in the world, but they just leave the miniature there and they go outside to drink, to start things, to eat, to walk, to do things. It's like people forgot for the contest for 3 days, and they start to rethink about the contest on Sunday when they say, "Oh, there is the ceremony hour, so we have to see what's happened at the end during the competition." It's something like this, and for me, it's difficult to tell because I am involved in the competition in the organization. I am one of the main organizer, the main 3 organizer of the contest. So I am so inside that for me are 3 days of full work, and I catch all of this from the eyes of the people more than from what is for me, because for me it's something
Well,
very specific.
I can offer an outside, somewhat of outside experience of this because I am at the registration desk of Monte San Savino, but after I register people, I just go and have fun. So I'm not involved in the
Especially
judging. I'm not
with a
involved
fuck you all.
Yeah, take your
Yeah.
tickets
Well,
and
now
go.
fuck you all.
So yes, yeah, I have a couple of tough days like a bad Friday and a bad Saturday, but I will enjoy Saturday only the morning, then I will enjoy the rest. But in the end, the experience is very nice because it's a very small medieval town. First of all, very small. I don't know, like 3,000 people, something like that. And at the time of the contest, you have like 300 painters and sculptors in there. So the town is filled with these people that comes from everywhere. They will have drinks just outside the venue because the venue is very small. Not small in the sense of amount of miniatures because it's monstrous, but small because there is not enough space for everyone to walk at the same time. So people will stay outside of the venue and just talk about art, about their job, about the painting, the sculpting, their experiences, and they catch up. And it's fun because you are on the outside in a medieval town with drinks, beers, or food, and there is a lot of groups of people that come and go, and they are all in the same spot in the end. So you go from I don't know a group of very famous German painters, then you go to the not to the Polish group because
Yeah.
you are not coming enough, and you should. But then you go to the
You
French,
should be more.
then,
You should be more.
and then you mix,
Yeah.
and then you go to the
We
Spanish.
will be.
So it's very interesting from this point of view, and there is a lot of exchange, a lot of talk, a lot of fun, and people are staying late in the night in the main square, drinking and chatting until very late.
It's
But
also
it's fun. It's very fun.
it's also important to say that probably one of the powerful things of Monte is also to be much more a convention of art than a commercial competition.
Yes.
There is a very small part of commercial part. There is Kimera, for example, or some, but it's very small if you confront this with the biggest of the contest. So, for example, if you go to SMC, it's a super big commercial event, fantastic commercial event. In Monte, the commercial part, it's like a 5% of SMC. So it's really concentrated on the contest and on the people that meeting. So I think it's more a convention. It's more proper to say that it's a convention.
Yeah, but from my experience after going to several competitions, like even in Poland, but like so outside the Scale Model Challenge, it's always about meeting people. Yeah, it's not completely about the competition. You just like put the miniatures on the shelf and then just enjoy the time. Yeah. So like from what Ricardo said, it's like a good party. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
And
like
with
a
fellow
4-day long
painters, yeah.
party. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Basically.
in Monte, this is like 300 times more. it's the most important part in Monte. But because it's also a question, it's also connected with the story of the place, I repeat, that create this kind of, because there are rituals during Monte connected with that. On Friday night, we all meet together to make a ceremony. There is a lot of this kind of things that helps to create this kind of sensation. It's very warm. That's the point. It's
Also,
very warm.
there are a lot of food gatherings for lunch or dinners with a lot of people together doing that. Like the majority of people will go to the same dinner party, for example. It's not very divided. So a lot of people together having a dinner night. So yeah, it's a party. Basically, it's a party.
Okay, cool. For me,
It's a party with a contest.
yeah, for me it sounds like a big fun. So we will attend this year.
It is.
And also we will probably try to do some documentary video about Monte, so we can,
Good idea.
show to the people who cannot come this year, but maybe they will come in the next year. So, guys, because as I said, we have a kind of time frame. We are going to the full part of our meeting today. So let's talk about this. Will be probably more with Ricardo. Let's talk about what Kimera will present here in Warsaw, because you are. In the day you are launching new Kickstarter campaign. It's Tenebra Fate of Asteria.
Yes.
And there is a lot of very nice miniatures. I mean, pretty different from this what Kimera Models is releasing during last 2 years. Ricardo, could you tell us more about this Kickstarter? What we can expect to see during the Kontrast from this Kickstarter, and also there is new paints in the way. I mean, this signature sets. Could you tell us more? In the background, I will show the video with one of the miniatures you sent me from this KS. This is rough material. I just cut it roughly, but it shows, let's say, the potential of the miniatures.
Yeah. So yes, we are launching this campaign in a week, and I don't know if we can put the link somewhere of the campaign. I will put in the comment section maybe, but in any case, no, I can't.
We will do it later.
Yeah. So yeah, we are launching this campaign, and we worked on this thing for a long time. Actually, this was born from an idea of 2019. Actually, yeah, I think 2019. And so it was a long process. There is a new line. This is why it's different in the look, because it's a new line of models. And as I said at the beginning, we are trying to differentiate each line with a specific style. So this one is gothic, dark. I'll try to bring some of the model, not for selling, of course, but for showing to the people, because we have the casted version already. We started a bit in advance, to be sure, and I can show something after the video. And in this Kickstarter, we have I don't remember the number of miniatures, but I think like 12 or something similar, different models, plus the Kimera colors. Since they are very difficult to find, the Kimera colors, because they are bottled by hand and takes a long time, we don't have many window open with the sales of these paints, because there is a lot of work to make them. But with the Kickstarter, we have the possibility of making people pre-order them, basically, and then produce them and try to fulfill the needs of everyone. So we will have the base set, the pure pigments base set, the expansion that we launched last Christmas, plus the signature line that is a set of mixes made by artists. And these mixes are convenient mixes that are very helpful to paint faster or to achieve tones that are impossible to get with a pure one. So these are very useful. And we are launching with Robert Carson set. And then we will have another couple sets as stretch goals during the Kickstarter. And in one of those sets, there is a new pigment, actually, a pure one. And I'm seeing in the video that you built the model with the sword up, and it's very interesting because we
Yes,
didn't think
because
about this.
it was not like this, but it's very interesting. I noticed the same thing.
Yeah, I always try to find, the new pose.
Yeah, it was not a pose that we thinking about, but it works very well.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, it's very nice, I have to say.
But I think
Because
that,
we thought about it with the sword down, but this works too. So it's cool.
I think that this is the dynamic is very good with this hand. With their
Yeah. Francesco making design notes. Yeah.
No, but we tried to put several versions of each model as stretch goals, so you can unlock different parts, so you can decide how to build the model. Yeah,
How it's supposed to be this word, no?
This is how. Okay.
But it's very interesting.
Ricardo,
But the sword up is very good.
Many people here in Poland asking about the paintings, accessibility during Kontrast, and also about the miniatures which you show, because there will be not only Kimera but also Pegaso.
Yes.
So many people are waiting for these expansion sets. I mean the possibility to buy this.
Yes.
Will you bring, let's say, a significant amount of paints?
We'll try to bring a good amount of paints of the base, the expansion, and the first two signature sets. Not the new ones that are coming out in the Kickstarter. So if people want to pre-order them, they need to go to the Kickstarter, because the production of those is not started. We only have samples. So we tested the paints. The painters that they are involved, they used it on their box arts, but we don't have available for sale. So that part is only on the Kickstarter. The other paints, they can get it in the Kontrast, and we will bring them. We are, of course, with a van, so the amount of stuff needs to be in the van. But we'll try to bring a good amount of miniatures and paints. We also try, if we are able, I'm not sure we can, but we will try to bring something from the last Kickstarter, the one that we released last year. We shipped all the pledges, so people already have their stuff, so I don't think they will be mad if we bring some boxes, but probably those will be very limited, because we don't have a big stock right now of those, of the last year Kickstarter.
That's cool.
So yeah, and we are trying to bring a new thing for Kontrast that we didn't show yet. It's a release that will happen in late May or beginning of June. We don't know. So it will be for the first time in the Kontrast. One or two things. We need to see if we can make it or not with the casting. Not easy.
Okay, very
But we
cool.
try.
But could you tell us about this Kickstarter? I mean, can we see any painted miniatures from this upcoming Kickstarter here in Warsaw during Kontrast?
Yes. I'll bring for sure my painted version of a little thing. That is
just a little thing.
Little thing. Yeah.
I cannot show it to you because Francesco has it right now and it's all disassembled.
I have it here.
So it's,
because
it's not show.
I mix the photos.
But it's a diorama with 5 miniatures. So I will bring that one for sure, so you can see it in person. Probably Francesco too will bring his model that he didn't start paint yet. So
But for the Poland for Kontrast, it will be painted for sure.
yeah, yeah, we think so.
Hey, Chris.
And
Ciao.
and I don't know what else actually. I don't know what else. I can show right now a couple
What
of
about
models.
Pegaso? Because Pegaso is mostly very fine historical miniatures.
Yes.
You send me very nice piece, and I will publish a video before Kontrast. But what kind of what I mean? How you select the miniatures? I mean, what kind of miniatures you want to bring here?
Yeah, Pegaso has a huge selection of stuff, so we always have to choose what to bring. We usually try to bring a couple things from the main lines, but it is difficult because Pegaso has like 500 releases, around 500. So if you even do 2 of each release, the one is not enough. So yeah, we have to choose. We usually do a thing like this. We prepare a box of mixed things that are old at a huge discount. So like a big box, then people can find what they like inside. And then we try to bring the best sellers and the
And
latest
the new stuff.
releases.
Yeah, the new stuff.
So high chances that we will bring the new Napoleonic Marshals, for example, on horse. These are one of the best-selling releases in Pegaso. Actually, people really liked it, and we will try to bring the Crusaders that are well liked, the Romans that are well liked, the samurais. So yeah, we roughly decide like this. We prefer to bring the bigger scales, the 75s and 90s, because the 54 is mostly old production, so we are not doing many of those anymore. Just a few a year, very few, unless they are the one on horse. Those are 54, and we will bring those for sure.
Ricardo, I have one question about this Kickstarter, because you decide to do it in 2 sizes. I mean, 32, 35, and 75, yes?
Yeah, we did a 38, heroic 38 sides and 75, and a couple of 200 millimeter busts.
Okay, but why you decided to do it in smaller scale? I mean, this is for the gamers, or?
This is, yes, okay. This is a project that we have since many years, that we wanted to release a smaller scale version of our models. It was an idea. We couldn't do it until now because we needed a sculptor to resize the model, and this is done by Africa Mir. That she is extremely good at it, because it's very difficult to rescale a model and keep the feeling of the model, but changing the proportion in a way that still looks good. Because if you just print it small, and this is what people that are printing STLs, they don't understand. But if you just print it small, it feels weird. Okay. So you need to change proportion, change the thickness of the details, change many things. So it's not an easy job actually. So we had this in mind since many years, and we could only do it now. We decided to do it now for a couple reasons. We were asked a lot to make smaller models because the gamers and people who like miniatures but that are not very invested in super painting, they like the smaller things, and they like to paint them because they are a little bit easier to paint, and they are intimidated by the big scale. So we decided to do this for them mostly. Then there is the possibility to use them for the people that plays role-playing games with miniatures, or if they want to substitute some characters for their war games or skirmish games, things like that. And who knows, maybe there are other plans for them in the future, actually. But this is a work in progress.
Okay, listen. We have one question from the audience. I'm just showing this right now, just below our faces. Kamil, who is my friend, is asking you how is looking the step-by-step process of designing and creating new miniatures in Kimera. I know that we touched this subject earlier, but maybe you can do it in the kind of line explanation.
Yeah, yes.
Ok. Forse potremmo anche fargli vedere qualcosa. Let's try like this. Imagine that the first step is the person that create the figure, that is normally the art director, or can be the concept artist, or one of them, or one of us, okay? Create the idea. Normally, this idea, you have to find a way to make this idea visible. So if you are a drawer, like a concept artist, you draw
Draftman.
it, okay?
Draftman.
Yeah, okay.
A drawer is a thing that you put stuff inside.
Interesting. Thank you very much. A designer. Okay. Anyway, an illustrator. If you're an illustrator, you design it. Okay. But if you are not able to do that, for example, me and also the art director use the same system. He teach me this system. We makes like a patchwork of things taken from everywhere. Okay. It's like a kind of monster makes with the sword taken from this, the armor taken from that, the body taken from this. And you create a kind of puzzle to give an idea of what is the figure. This is a very effective techniques, because it makes you the opportunity to have an idea of what's happened. Normally, these things can be very rough or even quite refined, okay? And then normally, after this passage, we have the real concept. The real concept is that there is an illustrator that took this monster that, for example, I did, and it transformed this monster into a real concept. Okay, when you have the real concept, the work passes to the sculptor, that followed by the art director, that follow each parts of the works. Start to sculpt this, and now the 90% of figure are sculpted in 3D. We have still sometimes some analogical sculpt, but the most part it's done in 3D. So basically, they make steps. They send to the art director the steps. The art director use Photoshop to modify the steps to, for example, to correct the anatomy or details or things. Sometimes you have to discuss about it, because sometimes happen, for example, that the sculptors makes something that in the concept looks in a way, and in 3D there is something that don't work. So this time can happen that, for example, imagine that for one figure I am the art director. Sometimes I am the art director of some of the figure. So I add a step by the sculptor, and I say, okay, I am not convinced about that. So I take the picture, I put it on the group, and we discuss with the boss and with Ricardo. What do you think about that? I am not sure if it works, and start a brainstorming about that. Then when we decide, for example, I try to design over the picture an alternative or a way to correct it, and then we send this to the sculptor, and the sculptor try it again. It's a very long process. It happens sometimes. It happened this in the past, that some parts are so difficult to handle that you are forced to come back to the illustrator, to the concept artist, and say, you have to design me better this part, because it's not work. Okay.
Yeah, there is also when you draw, there is a lot of cheating with perspective. So
Yeah.
when you do the 3D part, you understand, okay, this perspective is not a real perspective, it's fake. These two things will compenetrate. This wing will cut the
Yeah.
sword of the model if you do it like this. So you need to move it. But when you move it, the silhouette doesn't work anymore
Yeah.
because
For
it was
example,
beautiful in the drawing for a reason, but then it's not good anymore. So
or it happens that maybe a pose is very beautiful in 2 dimension because it's beautiful in this view, but when you move the same pose like this, it becomes weird. So you have to adjust this when you do it in 3D. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult, and it's a long process until you have the sculpt. When the sculpt is done, you are super far from the end, super far from the end, because at this point the file has to be engineered. Help me with the word, please, Riccardo.
engineered.
Engineered. Thank you very much. Has to be engineered. That means that has to be cutted in the proper way to become a good, to be printed and casted. And for that reason, for example, now we have Africa that works on this. She's one of the sculptor of company, but the other rule that he has, it's the production manager basically. So she control every single millimeters of the figure in 3D to understand if this fits or not, it's printable or not, biggest, you have to do it bigger or smaller, and she's like
Yeah.
the last control before the printing. When she finished to do these works,
Wait. Let me say a fun thing about this. Sometimes, because we do complicated pieces,
yes,
we like to do complicated pieces because I don't know. We try to push the boundaries of things. So sometimes it happens that you cut the piece and you think, okay, this will fit here. But when you physically try to fit the two things, you notice that in the first time they would fit if they were glued, but you need to push a thing inside another that gives no space. For example, you have I don't know, an opening like made like this, and then you have to fit something in, and it's very difficult. For example, we had to redo the saddle of this model for this reason because the model couldn't go in when you build it. And this is a stretch goal for the Kickstarter. So things like this happens, and you need to have like 75 eyes in
Francesco,
this.
can you rotate a little? Just like show it. Like I was very impressed, like for the one that Francesco Riccardo showed. The course is very dynamic. Like I like it quite a lot because it's not often you encounter something like this in like miniatures, like especially fantasy miniatures. Most of the horses are very static. Yeah, here's like full, like maybe she's pivoting on that horse. Yeah, like just like changing the direction, but like you can see it.
Yes.
It's very cool.
She's changing.
And that's something like maybe like just to interrupt because you're talking about very interesting things, and like I'm on the receiving line because like I paint the box art, but I just get it at the end, yeah, and sometimes even get it a little later because like the company tells me, okay, we had some problems with casting, yeah, because like everything was made, but the minute we started casting, like there are some problems, just like because it can't be casted or like, there are problems, yeah, with the molds or something. So it's a very complicated process, yeah. That I think like can you summarize how long does a miniature take to make? Like how long of a time does it like usually take for 6 months?
6 months when it goes well.
yes,
Okay, that's a long time.
Sometimes 1 year it happens.
yeah. 6 months, it's everything. It's super fluid.
Okay, without any problems, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes for this Kickstarter it happened. We printed everything, and we casted everything actually to be sure it was castable and doable. And for some pieces we had to redo and reprint and correct because some things were not possible. Now we have everything done and we are sure it works. But
So
it took a lot of time. It took 2 years to do everything.
to do this Kickstarter, okay.
Yes.
So like for the whole project process, like I don't know, maybe you can share some stuff, maybe not, I don't know. Like I would just ask, but have you like an amount of miniatures that you've planned for the whole like Kickstarter?
Yeah. We at the beginning we started thinking, okay, we will do this with this amount of stuff. Then we decided to release it later to make space for some extras because we liked the ideas and we created a little bit more. But yeah, we start with a pretty clear idea of what we want to do, and then we work on it. So yeah, basically this. We started with my diorama the one that I painted. I say mine, but it's not mine because it's sculpted by Alberto Coaviva, and the concept is his. I had just the idea at the beginning idea, then I painted it. So I don't want to appropriate things. But we started with that, and then we decided, okay, but it would be cool if we do it bigger with a paladin that will fight it, and then we can put other enemies, and we increased it in this way. But this was like 1 year ago we decided this. So yeah, it took a lot of time to release it, and all the graphic design, all the painting, all the story. It was a lot of work, and we
Yeah,
are
it's
still
very
working on
important.
it.
Consider
very
that in
important
this
that you mention it, yeah?
Kickstarter, consider that in this Kickstarter we have at least 2 painted versions for each figure, at least 2, sometimes 3.
So
Because we
that's
really
an
wanted
added
to-
time, yeah.
We really wanted to invest in the painting of this figure too, because we think that these figures are very beautiful painted and very beautiful to paint in a different way. So we wanted to show different styles of painters. We have, I think, some of the best painters in the world with completely different style. For example, you will see the same figure in 2 different versions, a little bit different. One from Lan, from Michael Pisaski, and one from Mark Masklans. So imagine the same figure painted by these 2, completely different
completely
super
different.
painter.
Yeah,
Super painter.
Yeah, I must say that I have Asteria. The video is about Asteria, and I think that I can do a 4 version right now.
Yeah.
I mean, choose the elements because there is 2 heads, 2 hands.
No. 5 version because you discover a new one
Yeah.
with this word.
Yeah, but I think about collecting the elements, together. I don't thinking about the pose. I think
You
about
just
the elements.
magnetize them.
Yeah, sure.
Magnetize
I will do it.
But you invent a new pose, so it's perfect. Great idea.
As you
Yeah,
said, it's always good to see the fresh eye. I mean, the
Yes,
user fresh
always.
eye.
For sure.
For example, I glued this, but this one is the foot version. If some people want, they can detach the shield. We are not presenting this in the Kickstarter, but we can detach the shield and remove the arm that is holding it and put the shield on the back, for example, and we are giving them another arm without the shield, and another head and another weapon, so they can twist it a lot if they want.
Customize,
Yeah.
yeah. That's good that like maybe like during the whole process of just designing the miniature, you like also have to think about it, like just a little even, just like how to like make those parts. Maybe they can detach that shield, and it doesn't have
We
an
have
arm
to,
attached.
we
or
have to
something
say
like
that we
this,
started with the idea of a multi-kit. We started
Okay.
with this idea because we think it's a smart idea. I think
yeah.
Yeah, I like this
mostly
very
because
much.
I am an old modeler and I continue to see figure in a way that it's okay. I had to say a new controversial things because before the end of the
It's a controversial evening.
I think no, not so much. Come on. I think that one of the problem of new painters is that they are too much painters and not modelers. Because, for example, I sometimes I have this problem with Ricardo too, because sometimes you look to a figure for a producer and say, I don't like it because I don't like, for example, this word. They say, what the fuck? You cut this word and put another kind things. What the problem? Nah, but I don't like it. So the new wave of painters, they see the figure as it is. For me, a figure, it's always a canvas, so I can change it. I always see a figure because of the part that I like. If I don't like something, I start immediately to think how I can change it. It's normal for me. So making, multi-kit is like doing this thing for dummies. I don't know. It's like this the idea, no?
But you're giving a little of that freedom, yeah, that they can shift, like an exchange, and like it's their version, like in a way, yeah. I also have this problem, like Ricardo. Like most of the time, I just paint the miniature, and that's maybe like a different reason because like I paint mostly commissions, but. I don't have that much freedom, so like sometimes I just like would rather have like a miniature that I can like experiment with, yeah. But most of the time it's just busts, and you can resculpt them, but like you have to be a sculptor to do it, yeah, in a way, yeah. But like it's good that you mentioned like the whole process. I think people look at the Kickstarter and see that like that product that you place on the site. And see like the miniatures that they want to buy, but they don't see the whole process, the whole time that it took. Yeah. So like if you mentioned that you do it like 2 years prior, it's a lot of preparing. Yeah, a lot of time just spent just to like for that like final moment. And it's like let's say you have, I don't know, will it be like a month or 20 days or something, just like for the
17.
campaign?
17. It will end the 8th of May.
Okay, so it's a short time compared to the time that you like spent doing it, yeah. So you should explain, like I think like here, like you have the occasion, but like you should show a little of that process, just to show the people that okay, it's our like work, yeah.
It is a thing I wanted to do as a marketing tool actually, because it's in the end. It will help you appreciate what you get more. In general,
Yeah.
I mean, not only for us. I mean, maybe our process is longer than other people, and I know this for a fact because we were told this. But a lot of people are working in a good way, and it's tough. It's tough, and I see that many people think, "Oh, this guy is getting rich with miniatures. Look how many he sells." But the amount of work is monster.
Yeah.
It's really monster. So,
And we are not rich at the end, so
No,
But you're happy, that's what it's about. Yeah.
But, not many people makes money on art. Just
yeah.
we didn't.
We do the
We
things that
actually
we love.
didn't. Yeah, we actually didn't finish out the process of releasing a miniature because we stopped at the.
Yeah.
Then it goes to printing, but it's not finished there because it goes to printing. It needs to be cleaned, the print, because even if you have a super expensive machine of 60,000 euros, and I'm not joking about the price of the machines, I'm not joking, you need to clean the model, you need to sand, you need to remove all the supports, you need to make it ready for casting. And at that point, it comes back and we do a check of what happened. So you look at I don't know, 500 euro 3D print or 1,000 euro 3D print. It depends on what are you printing, of course. You look at it and then you have to decide, okay, is this good or not? Do we have a problem? Yes, we do have a problem. For example, we needed to 3D print this one because it was too small. And this a 3D print is 1,200. So yes, let's double this money.
This version that me and Ricardo has is the incorrect one, because the problem
it's the
is
small
that is smaller than is
No.
version. You can see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite visible.
So we had
We
to
had
reprint it, or sometimes
reprint
it happens.
all.
Yeah, so sometimes it happens that maybe you get a compression or you have a problem with the file and you have to reprint, and it's a lot of money and a lot of work and a lot of time. You need to check it well. Then you check all the sockets. Is everything fitting perfectly? Because when you resin cast, there is a little bit of a shift. So if it's not perfect at this moment, when you cast it, it's worse. So you need to make it perfect. So you send, you correct, and then you may correct things that the sculptor didn't see. The thing about the belts that I was saying at the beginning, or another type of compenetration, or any type of problem that may arise. Then you correct it by hand, and it's week of work. At this point, you have a master. When you have a master,
Then
you
you have
go to
to cast
cast.
it.
Then you have to cast it, and there is a problem with the casting. The first copy may be broken during the casting stage. So the thing that costed you thousands, it may break in the first cast. So if the first cast doesn't come out perfect to do more cast of it, then you have a
You don't have a
problem. You
master
need
anymore.
to take back the master and fix it again by hand, and then go back to casting. Then, when you receive the first painter's copy, this goes to the painters. And then there is the box art.
Yes. Then goes to the painters. That is the last one, and normally the one that the painters always complaining because the things arrive in a
Very
short
late.
time. It's normal. I understand because I am a painter. I understand because I am a painter, but I also understand because I am a producer that it's not a fault of the producer. It's because if if the first part of this chain start to have a delay of 1 hour, when you arrive to the painter, the delay is 1 month. That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then,
I
But it's
totally
not
am-
finished. It's not finished.
It's not finished.
Because when the paint is done, the painter has to make the picture, or if you have the figure to yourself, you have to do the picture. The picture has to be cutted, prepared, and you have to do all the graphics, and you have to prepare
And then there
the
is-
marketing and the newsletter and the things on socials and the post, and you have to wait that comes the casting copies, and the copies has to be good. If they are not good, you have to redo the copy, and then you have to put the copy into the boxes. You have to do the graphic of the boxes, and at
printing
the end, maybe
of the box. And then you have to ship it. And then you discover that people don't like the sword. And they say, no, I don't buy this one.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but some people can change the sword.
Yeah.
They're a different position. Yeah.
But
No,
this is
yeah,
why
yeah.
I suggest to people to not open their small company of miniatures, because they may have a first good idea that will sell well, a second good idea that will sell well, but when you have to do the 10th good idea, or you don't have food on your table, you are in a bad position.
I can tell you one thing. That's the same thing I suggest people painting miniatures. Like, keep it a hobby, enjoy,
and see,
like,
and
have-
we'll see,
have
and
fun.
we'll see,
Yeah,
and we'll see.
and have fun. Yeah, that's it. Because it turns into work. Yeah. So that's the idea. Yeah. Thank you for that explanation, guys. Like, it was very insightful.
Can I say a funny thing, Christoph?
Yeah, do it.
It's a funny thing. I was convinced for all the life that there was someone on your shoulder that working, but it's a mirror.
No, it's a mirror.
It's a mirror.
Fuck.
I have a second version of myself just to paint
I
other
was
parts of the
convinced.
miniature.
I was convinced that it was like an office and there is someone else. But I look at better now and I say, what the fuck is a mirror?
No.
Hey, sorry.
Like that. Sorry, that guy.
Yeah, exactly. It's you.
That guy.
I am very tired. Sorry.
No. That's cool. No, believe me, no one helps me when painting. So like, it's done only by me.
And the guy in the mirror.
And the guy in the mirror.
He's a very harsh critic.
Yeah, the guy in the mirror, yeah, he's a very harsh critic. Like, always says it's shit, yes?
He always look directly on your eyes.
Yeah, on the back. Okay, so thank you for this insightful interview. I hope you also had fun as we did with Michał. It would be a pleasure to see you in Warsaw, just on the competition, and also seeing the workshop. I will also have to attend, just like Francesco sold it so that I have to see it. Yeah. But I wanted to thank you for that interview, and I hope to see you guys soon.
Guys.
For sure. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much for this evening. Bardzo dziękujemy też wszystkim naszym widzom, którzy oglądali ten stream. On oczywiście zostanie udostępniony także na YouTubie, więc będzie można go pewnie zobaczyć w troszkę lepszej jakości. Guys, we see you on Kontrast, so have a nice evening.
To you too. Have a nice evening.
And Francesco,
Bye-bye.
don't forget to send Krzysztof, this 2 weeks notice about Monte.
Yeah.
Yes.
He knows that. He knows that. It's
Thank
a
you,
promise.
guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank
Bye.
you very much to everyone.